Where are you going to get it?
Come out on the side of the tree if you need to.
Wow. Are you going all the way to Donington?
Yeah.
No! Oh my God!
Yeah! Mouth closed!
We're going up! Oh no!
Ollie, ready?
What's happening?
Yeah, he wants a picture of the hat.
Is that like a sponsorship thing? Matthew Ferguson sponsors.
Somebody get filming. Somebody get filming.
250 quid on you, my friend.
Love it.
Yeah, take that off. Take that off.
Do you ever think you'd marry her off and she'd go off and attract her? Watch out, Marg! Yeah.
Over to you, Nathan.
It's actually, it's over to me.
Oh.
It's me. Hi! I'm not doing a speech, but I am going to say grace before we all tuck in to eat. Before you do, you'll notice there's a little parcel on your plate. These are our wedding favours. They're not just fudge and tea. There's a little bit of home from both of us. We've got a Yorkshire tea bag for the Yorkshire and me. You're about to get some counter because the fudge is from Cornwall. Devon! Home for Will, and it's actually the fudge that you would get if you went and visited the lovely B&B. So there's a little bit of both of us for you to enjoy, either because you're starving now or if you want to wait. But we do ask, just a heads up, when we leave the pigsties, you'll need to take everything with you because this will close after we've had our food. So don't, if you leave your favourite, it's gone, and we will eat it ourselves. So if you want to join in, close your eyes, whatever you'd like to do, I'm going to say a quick grace. Thank you all again for coming. So Father God, I thank you so much for this lovely rainy day. We thank you for all the amazing company we have and all of our friends and family joining us today. It's a privilege and an honour, and we are so grateful. We pray that you would bless this food, that it would nourish us, that it would be tasty, and I'm going to stop talking so you can all tuck in. Enjoy, amen. You can get them to, if you
can buy it on email.
If some of you can't hear, you can come into this room and just crouch. This is
as loud as it's getting. Hello everybody, and forgive me for reading from a script. I would have loved to have used cue cards, but a combination of bad eyesight and bad memory meant that was not going to happen. So first of all, can I just say a huge thank you for all of you for being here. Many of you have travelled long distances and spent a lot of money to be here, and I know that means a huge amount to Holly and Will. So thank you. Friends and family have come from near and far. I'm just going to name a few places. A little shout out. Devon. Woo! Scotland. Woo! Holland. Hi, Steph. Hawaii. And Sarah. And Australia. And as Holly is a Yorkshire lass, it means a lot that two guests from the other side of the world are here. A warm welcome to Avril and Sue. Come on! As part of the bride, I'm supposed... Settle down, as part of the bride, I'm supposed to start by giving some anecdotes and about Holly and paying her some compliments. Now, before I start, I've got a bit emotional in my old age. Yesterday was a complete write-off, so we'll just see how it goes. If I get watery-eyed, I was hoping it was going to be hot and sunny so I could blame it on hay fever. But we'll see how we go. What can I say about Holly? Well, firstly, I'm sure you all agree how absolutely beautiful she looks today. This morning when I saw her, they did this grand reveal and that made me stand with my eyes closed, and when I opened them, my hay fever was But what makes Lou and I most proud of Holly is how beautiful you are on the inside. And what a loving and caring woman you've become. The reason I thought about other words to describe Holly's personality growing up. Funny, smiley, mischievous, or mischievous, I don't know how to say that. Adventurous, musical, smart, determined, wise, competitive, feisty. Feisty, loving, caring and compassionate. Many or most of those positive traits come from her mother, apart from her excellent sense of humour. Holly was quite hilarious as a toddler, and she'd tell you she still is. And she'd often have this all in stitches. She was very mischievous. Holly always had a glint in her eye, and she was always looking for the next bit of mischief to get up to, usually with her partner in crime, Em, who's, we have many funny memories of the two of them giggling and getting up to no good. Growing up, Holly was less about Barbies and tea sets, and she was more of an action girl. Dancing, climbing trees, gymnastics, football, that sort of thing. She was an excellent footballer all the way up to leaving school. Her competitive and feisty nature made her an excellent midfielder and captain. She led by example and was also quite vocal, often telling her father to shut up on the touchline. But that's true. Holly has always been caring and empathetic. Even as a toddler, she'd be concerned if another child was crying or upset, and she'd always try to make things better if a friend was having a tough time. As a teenager, there were several times while walking through Leeds city centre that Holly would nip into a local shop and come out with a meal deal. To give to a homeless person outside, Holly could barely afford it, but she knew they needed it more. I'm sure some of you here have benefited from Holly's deeply caring side. Oh, there's nothing prouder as a parent when your kids start teaching you life lessons and inspiring you to be better. Now I'm making Holly out to be a saint. And of course she isn't, but probably today isn't the day to mention Holly's feisty, independent nature. Like when she wrestled over a piece of clay pottery she was supposed to be decorating, and we ended up with half each. Or Holly's naughty nature when she had a paper round, and we found 100 of the local papers in a soggy pile behind Another of Holly's positive traits is that she's a great problem solver. She'd realised if she hosed them down, they'd probably biodegrade quicker. just not quick enough. Holly is also great in a crisis. As a small child, she helped us break into our own house when we got locked out by climbing through a tiny window and posting a key through the cat flap. And a few years later, she did the same again to get into Lucy's house. All of those gymnastics lessons came in handy. Or when Holly managed to generate a COVID travel pass for Lucy 3 hours before we were supposed to be flying to Austria on a family skiing holiday, when the rest of us had given up hope. Another thing about Holly, as Will knows very well, is that she has a very sweet tooth. And although so do I, so if anybody doesn't want the fudge. One Christmas morning we were trying to get ready for church and couldn't find Holly anywhere. Louise followed the trail of chocolate coin wrappers and found Holly hiding behind a door with a mouthful and belly full of chocolate.
I didn't even remember that.
Holly is very good at hiding. At bedtime, she would often ask me for a glass of water, and by the time I got back to her bedroom 1 minute later, she'd be gone. Eventually, I would find her under the bed, or on the windowsill behind the curtains, or in the wardrobe, or on top of the wardrobe, or one time even inside her duvet cover. But even before getting to bed, when Holly was probably 5 or 6, she would love to race me to the top of the stairs. I'd give her a 3-yard head start, and on your marks, get set, go, and I would try and reach and grab her ankle before she got to the top stair. But over time, she came up with a ploy. She thought, if I loosened my pyjama bottom so that as I grabbed her ankle, I was just left holding the hem of her pyjama trousers as she slipped out and her backside. 6-year-old Holly once decided to tell her class teacher that my daddy chases me upstairs and pulls my pyjamas. In summary, Will, bedtimes with Holly might be very interesting. And you're not finding her tonight. But even when Holly is in plain sight, she is a master of disguise. Growing up, changes of clothes were commonplace, often several times a day. She would disappear, then reappear wearing some crazy outfit, complete with hats, gloves, glasses, even facial hair. Yeah. And as Holly got older, she added an array of accents and impersonation to her repertoire. We have some hilarious videos of her, some of her creations, from a king gasping his last breath to a mad professor talking about hurricanes, or a Tongan student called Jonah. I think Louise might have some of these on her phone if you ask her later. These skills came in handy at school, where she appeared in musicals and productions, playing an orphan or a grandmother or a burglar complete with stubble. Life with Holly is never dull. In her 6th form, Holly was fortunate to visit Japan on a school trip, where she met the lovely Sarah from a school in Hawaii, and she followed that up with a solo trip to Hawaii the next year to stay with Sarah and her family. Holly went to uni in 2008 in York, where she studied... 2008? 18! Where she she studied chemistry. Sadly, her uni experience was badly disrupted by COVID, which meant most of her second and third years were spent back home at Leeds. As I was working from home for most of that time, it was an unexpected chance to spend some precious dad and daughter time. That I will always treasure. Doing the cryptic crossword in the paper became part of our daily routine, and we even managed to sneak one in this morning. Holly managed to ace her degree despite online lectures, the isolation of lockdowns, and binge watching, among other things, the US Office, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and probably the whole of Big Bang Theory for at least the second or third time. My work definitely suffered more than hers. A couple of other positives happened during her uni years. She found a great church in New York where she rediscovered her faith and made some precious friends. You know who you are. And the other big positive was that she met a handsome young guy. I do mean you. I say met as Holly and Will actually first set eyes on each other in an online training session. You could say it was love at first Skype. So for you millennials, Skype's like Zoom or FaceTime for old people. Holly told me she'd met a handsome, fresh-faced young man with a small scar on his forehead. She was just so confused as he'd been binge-watching too many Harry Potter. This young man had PM'd Holly after the Zoom call to say what a nice smile she had. Well, that's what I was told. Virtual dating then continued, and it became clear that the chemistry was not confined to Holly's degree course. About 3 months later, Holly announced she was travelling to Loughborough to meet this guy in person. Louise was excited. As her dad, alarm bells are ringing. I've heard about this thing before. I'm thinking more Professor Snape than Harry Potter. But with instructions to keep her phone switched on at all times and to meet in a public place, she set off to Loughborough. And thankfully it turned out to be you, Will. And a few weeks, or was it maybe months, I don't know, later, we also got to meet him in person for the first time. During school holidays, Will had worked for an ice cream company near home in Devon. So on his first visit to us, Louise took the opportunity to make him feel at home by telling him her Mr. Wiki joke. You can ask her later. All I can say is it's a visual joke, and we were in a restaurant. No. But despite this introduction to the biscuits, Will was not put off, and in fact Holly and Will went from strength to strength, even despite the challenges of long-distance relationships. Holly graduated and started working in York, and Will was in Birmingham on a work placement. They made time to really invest in their relationship and visit each other regularly in York, in Birmingham, in Leeds and in Devon. And in early 2022 we arranged a family holiday in Austria, which we invited Will to, the same one that Lucy nearly missed.
You're welcome.
And a few beginner's lessons. Will was up the top of the mountain skiing red and black runs with all of us. He has this really annoying knack of excelling really quickly, learning a new skill and then being really brilliant at it. Really annoying. On a beautiful sunny day, Louise and I were skiing down the mountain when we found Will getting back up off his knees and Holly crying at the side of the slopes. We thought, they've had an accident. But actually, Will had proposed. We later celebrated with some glühwein/rocket fuel and some schnapps. Louise's recollection may be a bit hazy. We brought you back a little gift from Austria. Look at that.
What is it called?
It's William Schnapps.
That is the rocket fuel.
That was what we had. Yeah.
No. Fast forwarding to last September, and Will moved back to Loughborough to complete his degree, which he's just smashed. Well done, Will. Holly took the big decision to move from York to Loughborough to be with Will and prepare for their new life together, which starts properly today. I know you've both settled into a lovely church, where the service was held today, and you've made some great friends in Loughborough already. And thank you, I don't know where they are, Anita and Ian.
Right in front of you.
Anita and Ian, oh, they're there. Thank you to Anitra and Ian for providing a home from home over the last year.
Oh, come on.
Holly, Mum and I are so proud of how you've dug in and persevered through some difficult times and of the person you've become. And I know that my mum and dad and your godfather Craig would also have been so proud and delighted for you today. Will, thank you for being there for Holly during the tough times as well as the good. The two of you might not have everything worked out, but you know the phrase, teamwork makes the dream work. Well, we think you make a great team, so dream big. Now a few words on our new son-in-law. Will grew up on the family farm in Devon, so this venue couldn't have been more appropriate, really. I'm sure helping out the farm has helped keep Will lean and fit. But this wasn't always the case. I've seen a photo of Will as a young boy. So let's just say he was a chubby little type. As Louise and I got to know Will, we soon realised what a top guy he is. Honest, loyal, clever, hardworking, caring, compassionate, fun and adventurous. As well as that, he learned very quickly how to get on the right side of his mother-in-law by laughing at all of her jokes and by doing parkrun with Saturday morning. Now, if you haven't heard of parkrun, speak to Louise later. It's free. But most importantly, Will, we can see how much you love Holly, and we can understand why Holly has fallen in love with you, and why your mum and dad are so proud of you. Robert and Hilary, Will was a credit to you both. Now many of you here will know that Will and Holly are very well suited. Further proof of this was when Lucy organised a Mr. and Mrs. style quiz for Holly's hang day, where Holly had to drink a shot for every wrong answer. To Lucy's dismay, Holly pretty much guessed all of Will's answers. Apart from one, where the question was, what would be the first thing Holly would grab in a fire? Will's answer was her piano. Let's hope they're never in a fire. And in case you're wondering, Will's answer was his hard drive. Which hilariously, Holly actually guessed as well. On Will's stag do, I did dish for some dirt, and sadly came up with nothing. Nathan, I hope you've had a bit more success. But no one is perfect, and I have identified one fault, and those that know me well will understand why this has been a cause of concern. Will doesn't drink tea. I understand he has been trying to make a decent brew for Holly. That's something to work on.
Yeah, trying.
But despite that, today we formally welcome you into our family, Will. Although in reality, I think you've been part of our family since the Mr. Whippy incident.
It was an incident.
And our visit welcome, of course, extends to Robert and Hilary, and to Edward and Charlie. You are always welcome in Leeds. I'd also like to say a huge thank you to all the Tuckers for making Holly feel so loved and making her feel so much part of your family. And thank you from Louise and I too for the warm welcome you've shown us. Now before I close, here are 10 tips to help you in married life. Practice them now, as if you have children further down the line, these things will get harder to do. I'm still working on these, by the way. Louise will tell you I've only perfected 8 or 9 of them. 2 from my mum to start with. Number 1, pray every day. And number 2, be quick to say, I'm sorry, and don't let the sun go down on an argument. I'll put it a slightly different way. Admit it when you're wrong, and keep quiet when you're not. Wrong way round. Admit it when you're wrong and be quiet when you're right. Louise and I always compromise. I admit that I'm wrong and Louise agrees with me. Number 3, don't take life too seriously. Have fun and laugh a lot together. It was Charlie Chaplin who said, a day without laughter is a day wasted. Number 4, talk to each other. Holly, they say husbands are the best people to share your secrets with. They'll never tell anyone because they aren't even listening. And number 5 is actually listen. Listen to each other. But a small piece of advice, Will, when Holly says, do whatever you want, Do not. Number 6, make time to eat dinner together as often as you can. Oscar Wilde once said, after a good dinner, you can forgive anybody, even your own relatives. Number 7, see the light in others and treat them as if that is all you see. That can be hard to do with some people, but remember, there will be days when those people might be each other. I mean, some mornings I wake up grumpy, and other mornings I leave her sleeping. Number 8, never take each other for granted, but treasure each other. Will, there's a beautiful song called If You Love Her by Forrest Black. Here are the details. But the lyrics are beautiful. If you want to have a cry, then look it up. It's Forrest Black, B-L-A-K-K. It's a beautiful song. Number 9, so this one's a tip from Louise. Number 9, do park runs.
Looks like we're getting a divorce then.
And finally, I'm going to ask Holly and Will to stand up now. Have a good look around. These are your friends and family out there. There's a lot here, and there's a few more who aren't. So number 10 is, although you've got each other, don't forget you've got all of them too. We're all here to celebrate with you and to share your joy, but in the future when things might get rough, these are the people who've got your back and who will help you through it. So now I'm going to ask you all to stand with me. It's alright, you can sit down. To the new Mr. and Mrs. Tucker.
Mr. and Mrs. Tucker.
And now I'm going to hand over to you.
You're having a great day celebrating the marriage of this incredible couple. For those of you who don't know, my name is Nathan and I am Will's best man, which means today I have the pleasure and the privilege of telling you a bit about the man that sits right there. My friendship with Will goes back to the summer of 2019, just before both of us started university. We met at the Christian festival Soul Survivor during a new meetup event for new uni goers. And as 21st century teens do, we exchanged Snapchat details of each other, texted throughout the summer, with hope that we would meet once again. And our paths did end up crossing in Loughborough on the first night of Freshers. We won't mention whether we had drunk much that day or not. I don't think either of us really remember. But we became friends, and it's remained that way thereafterwards. Now, I will tell you what, Mr. William Tucker was an absolute menace in his first year at university. Almost every single Friday night you would find that man out in the club up until 5 AM until the lights came on and everyone was booted out. Now granted, he was volunteering with the church. He was completely sober and he was handing out toast and water and lifts home to people who had actually been a bit worse for wear that night and may or may not have drunk their full body weight in Jagerbombs. Nonetheless, despite his lack of drinking, Will still managed to make some pretty questionable decisions in his life. One of the lowlights of his may have been when he returned home to his flat one day to find out that the only bathroom in his flat was being used. Now, Will, not being a man who likes waiting, decided that he could take an express route and that his second-story bedroom window would make for an appropriate urinary underneath him that would it probably makes you think, if that's what he did when he was sober, what on earth would he have done if he was not?
That's where you stand tonight.
Now, since Will's wild first year, I've had the opportunity to live with him in uni housing for a couple years now. And wow, you do learn a lot about someone by living with them. Holly, you've got a lot to look forward to. Let's say that. For 2 years now, I've suffered under the brutal dictatorship of comes to one truly important thing. The thermostat. No matter how many comments, complaints or cries are made about how cold everyone else in the house is, the thermostat does not get touched unless Will authorises it. Now, you can take the bold move to go and adjust it yourself, but you better be prepared, because Will swoop down and take you right back, and you may have a passive-aggressive comment coming your way. Alongside this, there's many what I like to call Will-isms that I'm sure a lot of people here today could tell you about. My favourite of his probably has to be his food surveillance system. Whenever cooking anything in the kitchen, whether it's beans on toast or bolognese, there would always be an eye over your shoulder when Will's in the kitchen, and a range of comments coming your way.
This is so accurate.
How much are you eating? Ooh, that's not how I would do that.
If I were you.
Or the best one of them all. That looks grim. I tell you what, the chefs in Gordon Ramsay's kitchen do not know the pressure. And now, because of the presence he's had in the kitchen has made such an impact on me, I actually have a present for all today. It's a bit tight, so let's do a bit of pass to parcel down there. Make that way down to William.
That's me.
I'll let you decide that among yourselves. Now, as well as the food surveillance system, there was a lot to learn about Will when it came to hygiene too. This revelation came one day when our housemate Joe horrifically found out that the brush he was using to clean the dishes had been routinely used by Will to clean the shower tray. Yeah, still gives us chills to this day. Now, moving swiftly on. I remember when Will first told me about this girl. He met her on a church Zoom call when he was falling in love. Crucially, he asked 2 people for advice on what he should do. Whether he should sort of take things forward or what his next step should be. He came to me, to get some well-rounded, reasonable, well-thought-out advice. And he went to a Mr. Daniel D'Souza, who would tell him to go for it no matter what. But in all honesty, I was completely sold on Holly the moment Will forwarded me all the corny dad jokes she was coming out. For example, yes, I did go through our chat history, Will. Holly said to Will, and I'll let you guys be the judge of this so we can judge your laughter. Holly said to Will, if you ever have a daughter, at least we know you will tuck her in at bedtime.
Holly, when was that? How far into the relationship?
That was the first day.
True story.
Now, once they got together for the following year, Holly seemed to be round at our house super often, with some COVID lockdown rules potentially broken, potentially bent, but definitely not broken. If there's any poppers in there. And it's clear that all that time spent doing long distance was well worth it when we look at where you guys are today in this wonderful wedding. Now, as you remember with the thermostat, Will likes to be in control of things, and I was scared I was going to limit my duties as his best man. At one point he was considering planning his own stag do, and to be honest, I'm a little surprised he's even letting me speak now and hasn't taken this over. Thankfully, I'm the one currently stood up, and we got him to take his hands off the stag do as well. For this, we blindfolded him up, drove him an hour through Devon to a water activities park to do some wakeboarding and paddleboarding. Now unfortunately, we chose a day where the weather was freezing cold and the water was much colder than that, and I'm sure these guys can testify to that too. Even more unfortunately, however, as previously mentioned, Will was annoyingly quite good at everything we did. So we had to resort on just ganging up on him, putting him under the water and getting him freezing cold. Now despite the weather not being on our side, it was still a great day out, celebrating Will, his journey and what lies ahead for him. So now we can do just that and look to the future for these two. Unfortunately for Will, he's going to have to get used to the taste of Loughborough's tap water, which he's been complaining about for 4 years. But a small loss to him is a great gain for this town. I certainly could stand here praising these two people for a very long time. Their hard work in nature, their compassion for everyone, their ongoing loyalty, and their amazing servant hearts. Now, when I googled what you're meant to include in a best man speech, as you do, I read that I was meant to give advice to the couple, but seeing how well you two have grown together, I'm certainly not in the position to give advice, but only in one to take it. And because you guys are such an inspiration to me, and I know to many others in this room too. I know that just as beautiful as today is, the service, the decoration, you guys and all of you, I know that just as beautiful as today is, your marriage will be 10 times as beautiful as that. So, may you all please rise and join me. Right to the groove. Now we move on to the man of the hour.
Okay, so thank you, Andy and Nathan, and good afternoon, everyone, if I've not had a chance to say hello to you yet. Before I start, I would like to warn everyone that I am not the best with words. Lots of you can attest to that, I'm sure. On Boxing Day 2021, Holly drove for 6 hours from Leeds down to Devon to surprise me. When she arrived, I looked out the back door and saw this young woman approaching the door. I didn't really know who it was, but then she got close and I realised, and I just said, "What are you doing here?" This was unsurprisingly not the response she was wanting after 6 long hours in the car. So let's hope I can get through this without digging myself another hole. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but what a blessing COVID was. Without COVID, Holly and I would have never met. I would never have never have seen this attractive young woman on a church Zoom call and had the chance to then really creepily slide into her DM. Now, I will publicly confess my opening line, which to this day neither of us can quite believe I said. I went with the line, "Hey, sorry if it's weird just adding you after the call. Couldn't help but notice how good looking you are."
That's all weird. It's terrible advice.
We have briefly mentioned this already from Andy, but that was not the only first awkward interaction I had with a biscuit. As I said, a few months later, I headed up to Leeds to meet Andy and Louise. When I arrived, we quickly headed out to a lovely country pub on the edge of the Dales, and yeah, at the time I was working as an ice cream man in Devon. So I am going to act this out for you. So, yeah, I'm going to stand on the chair so everyone can see. No.
This is in the first 2 hours of us meeting.
So once we had sat down, Louise thought it was about time that we broke the ice. So she gets up in the middle of the restaurant and just starts doing this. "What's this, Will?" I'm just so confused. But it's Mr. Whippy doing a poo. But then she says, "No, wait, what's this?" and I was just even more confused in what on earth who are these people, but it's Mr. Whippy with diarrhea. You might think that was enough to send me running. But unfortunately by that point, I'd already met Holly's godfather, Craig. Who is actually the only reason we're here today getting married, because sadly Craig passed away almost 2 years ago now, but before he passed he said to me that if I did not treat Holly well, he would haunt me for the rest of So this is for you, Craig. Just to keep you happy. Joking aside, I know that Craig would have loved to have been here today, and so too would my grandma Rosalie and
Your grandma?
No, your grandma. His grandma Rosalie Bissett and Patrick Bissett, my gran Christine Borston, and my grandpa Bernard Tucker. Some of which we never got to meet, and others we had the joy of knowing, but sadness of losing whilst we've been together. Holly and I would have loved to have had them all here with us today, but we know that they are all with Jesus, cheering us on as we start this lifelong journey together. We also wish... You can hear me, Gramps, there? He's on FaceTime there. Gramps, listen up! We also wish my Gramps, Brian Borston, could have been here today. However, under doctor's orders, he has been watching the live stream and reading these speeches at home in Devon. So he's just on FaceTime here. As some of you know, the last few years have been challenging for both of us. Our journey has been something of a roller coaster. When things get tough, it can be tempting to throw in the towel. But we are so grateful to everybody who has supported us and helped us keep going and keep growing together when we could have easily grown apart. We don't know the full impact of your prayers, conversations and friendship to us both, but we do know that we stand here stronger and better because of it and because of you, so thank you. Even though we sometimes wish things could have been different or easier, we are glad to have been able to journey some of it before marriage. It's meant that when we stood before God and each other earlier today and vowed to love each other for better, for worse, and in sickness and in health, we understood the vows we were making and will be keeping for the rest of our lives. Over the last 6 months, Holly and I have completed the marriage prep course with the help of John and Laura Houghton. We would like to thank you both for the investment you have made into our marriage, for showing us the realities of married life and the craziness of raising a family. So thank you. We would both like to thank our parents for your financial support, both in general life and to make this day happen. We really appreciate it. Thank you for how you have raised us, prayed for us, and taught us to follow Jesus, and provided wonderful examples of marriage for us to base ours off, as well as for showing us what it looks like for your spouse to be your best friend. I also want to especially thank Andy for continuing to support our marriage despite me ignoring your advice to get engaged when we did.
He wasn't a fan.
Thank you for making me feel so welcomed into your family, for visiting us here in Loughborough so much already, and for raising such a caring, hospitable and funny daughter. I can see so much of you both in who Holly is. We would also like to thank Rebecca and Lydia for being our flower girls this morning. I'm sure everyone would agree that you both look so pretty in your dresses and you did an amazing job, so thank you girls. Thank you to Ellie Dowling, wherever you are, for a gorgeous wedding cake despite the complications.
Woo, we love you.
And thank you for transporting it all the way from Newcastle. I look forward to tapping into a bit of it later. I'd like to thank my best man Nathan for your wonderful speech and for planning a great but sensible stag do. And thank you to all my groomsmen for being wonderful brothers, both biologically and in friendship. Yeah, I'm incredibly grateful to have you in my life. I would say you all look amazing, but I can't lie. I have to save that for the bridesmaids. Oh no, not the lie. So bridesmaids, you all look beautiful today. Katie, thank you for only ever being a phone call away from Holly. Ready for a cuddle, a cry, and an episode of the US Office. It is wonderful to see the peace that comes over Holly in your presence. Lucy, thank you for the love you have for Holly. I know that you would truly do anything for her, and it's so precious to see the joy that, and how you both light up getting to recreate childhood memories together. Abby, Hope, and Meg, I'm so grateful for how you have welcomed Holly to Loughborough this year. I know how daunting it was for Holly to move to Loughborough, but you have made and leave so much behind. But your friendship has been such a gift and made this move possible. So thank you. So please, would you all raise a glass with me to all those I've just mentioned? Thank you for who you are and the impact you have on our lives. Cheers. We don't stop there though. And now to the most beautiful... No, we won't stop there. To the most beautiful woman in the room, the one I deeply adore, Holly. Your love language is words of affirmation, so make sure you take this all in and enjoy what it is. I thought talking about you would be the easiest because there's so much I could say, but when I came to write this speech, it was actually the hardest, because how could I possibly sum up who you are and the love I have for you in a couple hundred words? But I will start by borrowing the words of my nan, who, when I first brought you home to meet my family in Devon, gave you the title Lovely Holly. And that really does sum you up. Holly, it was your faith, your fieriness and enthusiasm for Jesus that first attracted me to you and continues to inspire me today. You are brave and courageous. You will not sit idly by when you discern that something is not right. You see things differently from others and are an incredible role model to those younger than you in our church community. Your sense of humour is incredible, and your ability to do impressions, as Anthony mentioned, is both hilarious but also deeply concerning. But the vow we made to each other this morning, to have and to hold, means so much to me, because I feel so safe in your arms. You cultivate a space where I can be vulnerable and honest, where I'm welcomed just as I am. You help me be the man God made me to be. I'm not the person I was 3 years ago, not because you made me change, but because the way you live challenges me to draw closer to Jesus and be a better me. When we first posted the photo on Instagram of the two of us together, Hope Restell couldn't actually believe that I managed to have a girlfriend. But in the words of one of Ben Rector's songs, it's the way I've watched you change me from a boy into a man. So please, would you all join me in one final toast to my beautiful bride and a lifetime of devotion to Jesus and one another. Cheers.
That's the end.
Don't leave any wine on the tables.
Alright, what is better than 3 speeches? That's what I was going 3 notices! I'll read them up here. Notice number 1, as you heard earlier, we're going to have to leave this room soon, so please remove all your belongings. If they get left here, maybe you never see them again, who knows. So make sure you take everything out with you. Number 2, obviously we're leaving this room, but the fun does not stop here, so feel free to mingle in the bar area, get yourself a drink. the rain stopped, there's mini golf.
The rain doesn't stop. There's still mini
And don't forget to sign the guest book too if you haven't already. And then finally at 8 PM we'll be seeing that happy couple cut the cake. So we'll give you notices then, but 8 o'clock that'll be happening. So take this stuff with you, more fun to come, cake cutting at 8. Have a good evening everyone.
See how they stand here. Okay, cool.
I know. I feel like all the people I know best I rarely spoke to because I'll actually see you there. Whereas there's so many people you haven't seen you so it's just awful.
Have you done your card, William? You've got to go and balance your card.